Totality Rocks. And as you can see, this is in preparation for Totality Rocks, but I'm about to remove mine. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, Pam.
Sitting with me, I have Rick Ufford-Chase and Felicia
Updyke.
Updyke. I am totally blocking your name. Apologies, and I know it well. So we're going to talk about the eclipse, and we're going to talk about Newport and the eclipse. And I gather it's going to be like a fish concert. Everybody keeps telling me that we're expecting 30,000 cars. They're all going to park at Maxwell's farm, and people are going to walk into town. Okay, tell me reality now.
You want to start, or you want me to?
Yeah.
So we don't know how many people will come. It could be anywhere between 500 and I think 5,000 is likely to be more likely. But, you know, towns around us are preparing for 30,000, like St. Albans, St. Johnsbury. And, you know, we're a little bit more off the beaten track than both of those.
Yeah, but we're more fun.
We are absolutely going to be the most fun on the Totality Day, for
Exactly.
sure. Yeah.
So what's going to happen for Totality Day?
Well, I'll let Felicia describe the specifics, but in broad generalization, we have a program planned in Gardner Park, unless it's too muddy, in which case we may move it to Prouty, and we'll make it clear what's happening. But everybody should count on it being in Gardner, and we'll have a simple stage that is going to be a flatbed truck that we've borrowed from a friend in Lowell, who's going to bring up a 53-foot flatbed truck and place it next to the skate shack for us. And Bill Vinton, who is on the board of the NEK Astronomy Foundation, will be here to be our primary guide and program person through the afternoon, starting at 2 and going till about 4:30 or so. And then we'll also have Kyle Chadburn from ETA on the truck with him, on the flatbed, with a setup and speakers so that he can be spinning tunes about darkness. So it will be an NEK adventure done Newport style, which is to say simple and not putting on airs.
That sounds wonderful. I actually wanted to start this show with a piece of eclipse music, you know, total eclipse of the heart, but we can't. We'd be done for pirating it. So, so I'm really glad that there is going to be eclipse-centered music.
Yes, and we have a couple vendors that have decided to kind of set up, depending on the weather and whatnot, that will sell eclipse type
What
things.
kind of vendors?
We have someone doing engraved, like metal engraving cups, and then someone wanted to sell cupcakes. So just little basics. Those aren't confirmed, depending on weather or not. But
Sure.
yeah. But we'll be out there. The totality starts at 3:25, but we'll be there from 2 to 4:45. So yeah.
Well, it's only fun if you do the whole build-up.
The whole build-up.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we have 500 glasses that we're handing out to the first 500 people that come. See?
Yeah, in fact, we've been getting a lot of questions about where people can get the glasses. Do you have any idea where they can get them ahead of time?
Right now, I think Pick and Shovel has them. I know Walmart has them. I don't know. I saw them a couple weeks ago, so I don't know if they still have them. But be careful, because you can buy them on Amazon a lot, but they don't have the ISO rating, which makes it so you can actually look at the sun.
So tell us how to know if these are safe. As
They
I'm
should
sitting
say
here flapping them.
they have a little ISO logo on the glasses.
Okay.
That means they're rated by NASA, that you can actually look at the sun with them.
Cool.
A lot of fake pairs are on Amazon, so probably the cheaper, the bulkier ones, you probably are not ISO rated. But they'll say it on the description.
Yeah. So when we started the show wearing these, I couldn't see anything.
No.
So I guess people need to understand that when they put them on, that their visibility will be nil unless they're looking
directly at the sun, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Which is sort of amazing. This is not my first eclipse, but we didn't have glasses like this before. You've seen one before,
I was
right?
the last one, I forget which year it was, but I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee for it. And I remember having glasses, and I actually found a picture of my dog wearing my glasses recently. So, so it reminded me, oh, I did have glasses. But yeah, I don't remember it being this big though.
Right.
And I was in Totality, and I don't remember it being crazy, but.
Among my counterparts in the other designated downtowns in Vermont, particularly the ones up in the northern part of the state that are really going to get the longer, prolonged period of darkness, we've been talking about this for a year. People began telling us a year ago, this could be way bigger than you can possibly imagine. And so, how each of our towns has approached it is kind of, it shows a little bit of the character of each town.
Sure.
And we had a lot of conversation about it and finally agreed that we were not going to go into panic mode.
Good.
But we wanted there to be something happening here that plays to our community strength. Yeah. And then Bill Vinton called us and said, I really want to be where Totality lasts the longest. In fact, here's a fun fact. His daughter is Jillian Sawaki, who is my counterpart in St. Johnsbury from Discover
Right.
St. J. And Jillian called me shortly after he did and said, I can't believe you stole my father for your event.
Oh, dear.
Because he wasn't willing to stay in St. J for only 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes.
Right.
He wanted to go to Newport where we'd have well over 3 minutes of total darkness.
Yay.
So, we're really trying to do it in a way that says, come and have fun with us and just be patient because, once everybody gets packed in here and the thing happens, it's going to take a while to get people sorted and get them out of here again.
I would hope that people are going to stay for a while. I know it's a Monday, and a lot of the stores normally wouldn't be open, but maybe they will be.
We are hopeful that most of the stores and restaurants in downtown Newport will stay open for this.
Yeah.
And I think that, the smart money would be to just leave your car parked wherever it is and walk downtown and spend a couple of
Right.
hours hanging out before you leave town.
I would think so. And I would assume that places like Largo's and the Warehouse and the T-Bar will have cocktails that fit the eclipse.
I hope so. I'm actually working on an email to everybody today to bring them all up to date on
Yeah.
what the possibilities are.
I mean, I certainly know that Largo's have made the most of events in the past by being
Doing special
creative
cocktails and things.
and by doing special dishes too. I mean, I'm sort of imagining what an eclipse dish looks like. Eggs, fried eggs,
Yes.
something on the top.
Where the egg whites have been blacked out or something.
Yeah. Or you throw
It doesn't
a pile
sound
of
very
salsa on
appetizing when we actually describe it, so maybe not.
Right. And clearly, the tasting center, and I'm addressing you with this, and show and tell here these very cool cans of Eden cider.
Yeah, so along with being on the board for NCDD, and then also Colin Matthews and I are the ones planning the event for the eclipse. I am the brand ambassador for Eden Cider. So we created these logos to go, the labels to go on the cans of cider for the eclipse. And so we ordered only a certain amount, and so they're on sale now at the tasting center when we're open, or we'll be open the day of the eclipse. You can come get them and save the cans as memorabilia and whatnot.
So if people want eclipse cider, and of course I highly recommend local eclipse cider, with public advertising here, then they should come in early and get it.
Yes, right now we're open Saturdays 12 to 4. Starting next weekend, we're open Friday and Saturday 12 to 4 because we are having Maria's Cuisina pop up, Filipino food. And so we're open the next couple weekends, Friday, Saturday, and you can buy 4 packs of those
Cool.
before the event.
Will you be open on the Monday?
Yes, we'll be open Eclipse Day
Great.
as well.
And so hopefully, as
I
I
would-
said before, everybody else will.
Yes, I would recommend the locals come and get their ciders before that, or reach out to me and I can, if I see you. I
And
can
there'll be
give you-
contact information for both of you.
Great.
Yeah, it's a really neat idea having something that is local.
And we wanted to definitely capitalize on the local cider, local business,
Yeah.
and partnering with a local nonprofit.
Yeah, NCDD is growing
Lots.
fast.
Yes.
Did you guys plan on this taking off in the speed that it's taking off? I mean, you've got your own eclipse going on here.
So a year ago, our board was clearly having a conversation about how to build capacity and to take
Yeah.
on more work. I think the speed with which those new projects have come on over the last year has surprised all of us, including me. It's thrilling. It's really exciting to be a part of
Sure.
it. But we're now, as I just said to one of our board members that I was sitting with, we're spinning a lot of plates right now in a lot of different directions.
Right.
So and Totality, we had been saying we really need kind of a shoulder season event, something that could happen in March or early April.
Well, here
And
it is.
This year we got it in spades. So
Yeah,
it'll be
Colin
Yeah.
and I started planning this about a year ago, and Colin and I just kind of were like, "Cool, it'll be fun. We'll plan this fun event. We'll make these fun posters.
Yeah,
and
it
then
can just be low key.
Yeah. And we are a little stressed,
Really?
but it's good. We have a lot of support from the city, the police department, just everyone, Parks and Rec, over the city to really bring this together and work together and make it fun for everyone, but safe as well. So.
You know, it highlights both our strengths and our weaknesses in many ways, right? Like as a community, I have no doubt that we're going to weather this. In fact, our slogan has been totality, whatever the weather, we'll weather it together, right? We're not canceling this event.
Right.
I don't care if it's snowing. We're going to be in that park on that Monday, the 8th of April. But, you know, so I have no doubt that the community itself is prepared to kind of be resilient and move with whatever happens.
We're tough.
And it's also true that we have a real dearth of places for people to stay. Right. All of the beds have been sold at this point in the hotels and the Airbnbs in the area. And we don't have a lot of restaurants. You know, we've got a handful, half a dozen restaurants in our downtown and another half dozen in the surrounding area. But what it tells us is we've got a lot of work to do to really build up our downtown area so that it can handle the not just super big events, but just a constant flow of traffic.
Right. And yet all that build-up has to be able to sustain itself during our quieter times.
The rest of the year. That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, the big question on a hotel in our downtown area is, you know, can you sustain a 12-month, 4-season operation? You know, the recent studies that we've done say that we can sustain it, but we also know that we can't build an economy around 4 months of visitors.
No.
Right? We've got to build an economy for the local folks who have always oriented toward Newport.
Right.
Right? And we've got to continue to make that happen.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
And I know the previous hotel evaluations, because there have been several in the last 6 years.
2 in the last 6 years. Yeah.
Had said no, and because they couldn't figure out a way that they could be at capacity for 4 months of the year, what happens the other 8 months?
Right. Yeah. The most recent study, so there was one done in, I think, 2017-18.
Yeah.
And that was the one that, as you suggest, Pam, said that really we'd be foolish to look at a 12-month-a-year hotel operation downtown. And the truth is, if we can't sustain it 12 months, then I'm not convinced we ought to build it in the short term. I don't think it does anything for our local economy to have just a 4 or 6 month open operation. But the most recent one was more hopeful. It came out about a year ago now. January of 2023, and the folks who did that study basically said, yeah, we can see the numbers pencil on a 12-month operation, and they can, you know, the holy grail of hotel management when I was in that field was we were always aiming for 65% occupancy overall for the year, and this last study said, yeah, you probably can't hit 65 in the early times until you build out more services around it. But if you could get to 56, 57% occupancy overall, you can probably make the numbers work. And their projection was that could be done. So now we got to figure out how to build it.
Right. And what to include in it.
Yes. And the rest of the things that need to happen around it.
Right.
So we're going to need parking in our downtown area.
Well, that can be underground.
It certainly could be, yes. Yeah. We're going to need more retail to support, not just to support the hotel, but in the long run, actually, it's layered on top of what we know we've got to start with, which is housing.
Yes.
We need, you know, estimates are that we need at least another 200 units of housing in our downtown area. So, you know, how do we start getting serious about building that housing out?
Or how do we look differently at the housing we already have?
Yes, both things are true.
Yeah, and they're not incompatible.
No, that's right. Last week I went we're pretty far afield from Totality now, but last week I went to a conference in Barrie that was put on by the state that has just created a new resource that looks pretty amazing to me. It was a training on how to use it. It's called Homes for All Toolkit, and it's focused on how we can infill and build more 1 to 4 unit housing options in lots that have hard constraints on them about space. Maybe they're really narrow. And it actually includes 5 designs of different kinds of housing units that can be built to fit in and onto different kinds of lots. So like they made one that's only 14 feet wide and can be slotted between 2 other buildings that are close beside it. So, and that's just one example. So we do, you know, the state is thinking about this all over the state. There were
need to be.
200 people at this conference in Barrie and 50 on a wait list. There is a lot of interest right now in how we
Yeah.
do this all over the state.
Yeah, because everywhere is struggling with
Everywhere
this issue, and
is
it's not
is
just
facing this.
Vermont either.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So your job's going to be, both your jobs are going to be really exciting for the next year.
all of it, yes. And so one of the questions is, how do you capitalize on totality?
Right.
If we have, let's say, 5,000 visitors that day, right? How do we make sure they go home thinking, wow,
I got to go back
I
there.
can come back here when it's nice out, right?
Yeah.
Like in the summertime when it's beautiful and they have Wednesdays on the waterfront concerts and festivals
lake
the
and the
lake and the
swimming.
swims and
Yeah.
exactly. So, that's our real challenge is how do we convert this opportunity into something that has durability and gets people coming back here on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
We are printing banners and posters to kind of have more around town for when people do come for the eclipse that show events for the summer. So even though it's a little early, but people coming in can go, oh look, there's a Forge Festival in May coming up, and
Right.
let's come back for that or whatnot. So we're trying to, on the marketing side, really get something out there for the eclipse when people come in.
Yeah, and particularly things like Wednesdays on the waterfront, because that always pulls people anyway.
Right.
Sorry guys, you weren't planning on booking already, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty, what's so exciting for me about all of what's beginning to take place is how much of it is being built on a renewed sense of community spirit. I mean, I know from long conversations with you
Right.
that spirit existed
Yes,
a
it
decade
did.
and more ago, or
It
even
did.
less than a decade ago. But it had clearly lulled for a wide variety of reasons. And bringing that kind of spirit back to life, and I'm finding it's happening in more than one area. It's folks who were involved in the past
Right.
who are saying, wow, there's space. It feels open and inviting again. We want to be a part of this. And there are folks like Felicia, who's been here, what, a year and a half, 2 years?
2 years of May.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Who come from other places in the
Right.
country, in part because they want to be a part of a scaled community where they can
Right.
invest their energy and make a difference. So we've got 75 volunteers now who are active in this organization,
great.
who are just kind of going nuts on all kinds of, every time there's an idea, we're like, I don't know, we could try that. A forage festival. Sure, let's give it a try. So.
There's a lot of us who forage, so
Yes,
why not?
exactly. And build on, again, right? How do you build on that fact that exists here? We're
Yeah.
not making it up, it's real, right?
Yes.
Match it with something like the Dandelion Run, right?
Yes.
That has been going on for years and that is a fabulous event. And put them on the same time and say, come, while you're here for the run, come check out downtown Newport. And by the way, if you're local and you are already into foraging, come be a part of this and share your skills and your excitements.
Well, you want to talk about foraging, talk about dandelions.
Yes.
Every single part of the dandelion is edible.
Have you been having that conversation with the city?
yeah.
So share a little bit about that, about trying to save the dandelions for the event.
So I actually have to try and reach out to the state right now because we're doing, so the Dandelion Run is in the morning,
Yes.
the Dandelion, and then the Forge Festival is in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And this will be shortly advertised. We're very close
getting
to
a
pushing
preview.
it. We're getting a
Ooh.
preview. So 12 to 4 in the municipal building. We have foragers coming, speaking, doing cooking demos. There's a lot of foraging vendors, cultivators coming, and then we're doing a little dandelion stroll through downtown for like the littles. And they're going to have a little field book, and we're trying to get the city and the state not to mow, so that it's just dandelions everywhere. So the city agreed to it. So I'm working on the state, the hill kind of where Wednesdays on the waterfront are, so people can use the bike path to stroll down, collect dandelions, and then in their field book is a recipe they can go home
And
to
cook
cook with them, with their family. So that's
There's
part of
so
it.
many great ways. That's a really great idea. And there's so many great ways of making dandelions really tasty.
Yes. So we'll have a couple recipes in the field book for the kiddos and stuff to bring home, or just out on the information table for people as well. And then local restaurants that night are having live music. And if runners from the Dandelion Run bring their bibs, they get a discount. So
Well,
we're all
what
coming
about those
together.
of us who volunteer at the dandy?
Probably. And then the farmers
You live
market.
downtown at Doucet and all those restaurants anyway, so.
But I'm also the 10K turnaround for the dandelion.
Are you this year? You're going to be the,
I've always been the 10K turnaround.
do you dress up?
Yes, of course.
So I did the run 2 years ago.
Yes.
And I loved the costumes that all the volunteers were wearing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
in
and-
fact, there were 2 dandelion costume people, right, who were.
That was
gonna
the
say.
10K turnaround.
That was you- that was you?
That was Anita and myself.
Okay, there we go. I just didn't recognize you under all that dandelion garb.
Yeah, and the hat and the flowers and
It's
the
pretty fun.
bright green tutu. And
Yeah.
And then it's the opening day of the farmers market as well.
believe me, I know I'm supposed to be there too.
We have to be in all these places, right? So
Yeah.
it's going to be an all-day forage. We're calling it the Forage Festival, but it incorporates all these different things happening. And there'll be a book reading at the Goodrich Memorial Library in the morning as well. So it'll just be a full day of activities. It'll be good.
There are some real serious foragers at the farmers market too.
Yes, we've been in contact with them.
Good.
Yes. So unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, but they'll be at the farmers market. But they really help pinpoint us in the right direction and have
Yeah.
helped. And I think it will kind of bring it all together to, you can go shopping in the farmers market in the morning and then come to us in the afternoon.
Even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the more people who get drawn into the farmers market, it's sometimes hard for those who don't live in this area, who are migrating up here for the summer, to understand why our farmers market doesn't have all the wonderful crops and other items that their farmers market does. So somebody last year said, you know, they've just come up from Virginia and
Right,
why
where
do you
their
have
where their
so little
season
here?
started in what, April?
Yeah,
Right?
No, February, probably.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Nowadays, yes. Yeah, and
Yeah,
we're
it-
lucky if people can get plantings in by early May. So,
Very lucky.
right, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's getting easier, I think, for all kinds of
Yeah,
reasons
but
that
if
aren't
you don't
all
have a
that
hoop
thrilling.
house, you're not going to have anything to sell.
Right.
So at that point.
Right.
So it's hard for people who move from state to state to not think that everything moves with them, because it does at the supermarket.
Right.
So what else is coming up besides the eclipse?
So Wednesdays on the waterfront, we're going to bring back the food trucks that we added last year on Main.
Cool.
So that will be happening again this year. We hope to have 5 food trucks each week in front of the empty block on Main Street.
Can you
And,
persuade Me So Hungry from Jay to come back down?
I don't know if they're on the list. Do you know?
I don't
No,
know.
they're not.
Sarah's been doing the outreach, and I think
I'll-
they were on our original list of
Yeah.
the
They
folks
used
we
to be at
reached
the
out to.
farmers market, and then they basically moved up to Jay. We were so sad to see them go. Their food is great.
Well, so this year, Sarah's got a good list coming together, and I think they're going to all be locked in within another week or two.
That's great.
So that'll be going on every week. And, you know, we've done that with some intentionality too,
Sure.
right? Like we moved it down in front of that block in part because we want folks walking up and down the street, and we want our businesses to begin to recognize that
Right.
that represents traffic that they could be open for
Yeah, it's
and
not
take advantage of.
competition, it's traffic.
Exactly. And so little by little, last year was a first attempt, and it seemed to be positive.
Yes.
So we're going to try that again. And then we're going to try the second annual Mem for Magog Festival, which is a reprise of the old Aquafest, and trying to begin to make that a thing. So this year the city's going to co-sponsor it with NCDD.
Good.
And so we're gonna try and make the parade a bigger deal for the swimmers,
Good.
and bring in other folks to do floats and things from the local area and celebrate
Yeah.
the swimmers.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have a band in Gardner Park at the end of the parade.
We booked Lix, Lixx.
Yes, they were the last band. Licks
Right.
was the last band we had for Winter Saturdays this year, and
So
they
they're
were great.
booked for the
Oh, that's
Magog
terrific.
Festival.
Yeah. So we'll have that, and we're hoping Friday afternoon. So the parade takes place at 6.
Yes.
We're hoping during the afternoon before the parade to do water games, competitive water games over off of Gardner Park with help from the Newport Community Sailing Center. So we'll do,
Nice.
little racing competitions and things like, maybe I'm trying to talk them into a cardboard boat race down the Clyde to see who can put their boat in the water on one side of the park and make it all the way to the end of the Clyde River in a cardboard
I
boat.
like that.
So we'll see if we can pull that off. But, again, all of this is really designed to be engaging to the folks who live here
Yeah.
and low barrier,
Yes.
easy to participate in, not super expensive. And I suspect that if we can build those kinds of events up, then the folks who visit the area will just be enthralled by the charm
Yeah.
of it all, right? And want to be a part of it. But we're not designing it for them.
Right.
We're designing it for
Yeah.
us, for
Which
our
is
communities
wonderful.
first.
And it's how it needs to be. I mean,
Right.
when we first moved here, we moved here because there was a heartbeat. We moved here because of the lake as well, but we moved here because there was a heartbeat. And community felt like community. And then that died.
Yeah.
So it's really nice that it's
on the way
coming
back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's a big
so we've got
difference.
stuff planned all summer. And if the Forge Fest goes well, we'll do it again next year. We'll start doing that as an annual event in May, kind of leading into the summer.
That will grow.
I think so.
Yeah, and it's how people have always eaten. And then a lot of people lost contact with the soil and what grows in it, and what you label a weed and destroy, and what you label a wonderful plant
And
and
edible,
eat.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And I'm learning so much. We have a group working on the Forge Festival, and I'm, as the co-chair of the events committee, I call in and I kind of split up the events of who oversees them. So
Sure.
I'm overseeing the Forge Festival. So I designed the logo and everything for it, and I brought it back to the group, and they go, well, you have mushrooms on there that are poisonous. And I go, oh.
That's good to
Did not know that. And
Perhaps we should rethink this.
so I redid the logo so it's all edible. And
Very wise.
so I'm learning a lot too, and it's going to be really fun to bring my daughter into it and show
Yeah.
her what she can do. It's going to be very family friendly, but there are aspects of it like the cooking demonstrations and the cultivating that
Yeah.
are on a more intermediate advanced level of foragers. And so I
Sure.
think it's going to be really nice to have all age ranges.
You know, we used to have a beautiful community garden in Gardner Park.
Was that before the garden that happened over on 2nd Street or after?
That was Summer Street was the first one,
Okay.
and then
And that was about 2012 or so?
yeah,
like about-
probably.
okay.
And then one was set up in Gardner Park, and it was the same people running it. And then there were those in the city who didn't like the one in Gardner Park because, quote, it was messy. It
People who
was-
clearly aren't gardeners.
that was obviously true. And no
Right.
matter how hard the group tried to accommodate those particular viewpoints, they couldn't, because a garden is a garden.
A garden is messy,
and
right.
It's not designed to be something that is trimmed to within an inch of its little life. And
Where was it in Gardner?
it was at the back. If you walk into Gardner Park, there's the little rotunda.
Yes.
there. The piece to the side was where it was.
No kidding.
It was beautiful.
Do you think there would be community interest in trying to bring back a community garden again at some point?
Maybe. I think there was a lot of damage done when that was pulled. It was pretty brutal. It was totally unnecessary. And a lot
I
of
was
people
reading.
got very hurt.
I think it was I've been trying to reread all the old reports just in the last
Yeah.
month. There are 26 different reports that have been done since 2009.
I know.
If you look at all of them, right? And I think it's the one that was the reprise of the Rudat report that happened. The reprise happened in 2011.
Yes.
And I think that had pictures of the Summer Street
Yeah.
garden in it, and it looked beautiful.
It was.
It must have been
It was-
spectacular.
It was gorgeous.
And it lasted 3 or 4 years.
more.
Really?
Probably 6 by the time it was done. And that was really for the community that lived there. It brought people together. They dealt with kids who did stupid stuff, because kids do stupid stuff.
Right.
They really had something going there that was wonderful. And then it expanded to Gardner Park, and for a few years that did great.
Well, it's something that should be on our list. Is
If you-
how do we just kind of explore the potential for
Yeah,
maybe
if you
trying
would
to
like
bring it back?
contact with the person who was the driving force behind that, that could easily be arranged.
I'd like that.
Yeah. She's really worth having a conversation with.
Great.
But
You know,
yeah.
eventually, our goal is some kind of community activity every month of the year.
Yeah.
And we're getting there. We're filling in. You know, we've got the Winter Saturdays in January and
Yeah.
February, and the Forge Fest now in May. So we need to think a little bit more about that shoulder season when we don't have Totality. What do
Right.
we want to do in March and April?
We could pretend to have Totality next year.
Yeah, we could do a fake Totality. That would be kind of fun to
That'd
think
be
I
about.
sort of like the name Totality, so you know.
Yeah, just keep the name and do
Yeah,
our own
and
thing.
do-
Keep
do
Kyle.
something.
We keep Kyle to come play Totality music,
Yeah.
and then we keep a speaker. And then-
Yeah.
So, and then we've got, you know, the summer is easy, and the
Yeah.
fall is pretty good because the city rec program does such a great job with
Right.
Fall Festival and the Pumpkin Palooza
Yes.
in October.
And the Chili Fest.
And the Chili Fest together with the Fall
Yeah,
Festival,
yeah.
right, with the chamber. And I've just been in conversations with Mike Brown and Tabitha Armstrong from the Daily Express about trying to do a very different and bigger deal for the holiday season this year that we're thinking about calling Hometown Holidays. So we've got a bunch of things that aren't ready for prime time or to be talked about yet. But I'd really like to build up the month of December so that it's got more of a inviting come down to downtown Newport and be a part of celebrating the holiday together. So we're getting close, in another year or so I could easily imagine that we'd be pretty much full annual operation with different events.
Great. Particularly if the holidays could be more inclusive.
Yeah, right. So it's not just Christmas oriented. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's absolutely part of our conversation.
Yeah.
We have Tipsy Talks too that have been doing really well.
Right, thank you. Right. The Tipsy Talks things have been great.
Oh, they've been great.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're turning
so
out
much
this
fun.
year. We had probably 35, 40 people there almost every session.
And it was really nice having some of it downtown.
Yes. I know Patrick Hurley worked really hard to try and get it downtown. And
Well, and it wouldn't have happened without Phil White and Kathleen Marcel about
and then Hoagie's delivering if you needed it. And it all really came together to be in Newport.
Yeah, so I'd love to bring it back to Jasper's again next year, and I'd like to see a lot more of those kinds of things going on at Jasper's, which is a great venue.
It is.
It's
It is. It would be really nice if there could be food sort of on site as well.
Yes.
But I think there's ways around that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. This is sounding really exciting, and I love that it starts with totality.
It really, I mean, a year ago when you, me, and Colin sat down to plan this event, we didn't really have an event committee, I think, at the time, or we did, but it wasn't. And now it's just it's grown a lot. We have an email address now. Like, people are reaching out to us like crazy. We have schools coming down. We'll have a neurodivergent safe zone for students and
you want to say a
anyone
little
else.
bit more about that so people understand what neurodivergence is about?
Yeah, so they're called sunflower areas is kind of what people will look for in crowded areas. And it represents disabilities that are not visible. Right. And so we do have a college coming down with about 30 students who are neurodivergent, so may need, like, if it gets really loud or crowded, may need a safer space. So it's going to be the hockey rink. It's going to be sectioned off. They're also bringing some displays and whatnot that are different so people can hold and touch and see and play with.
Right.
And so it's just going to be an area if you get overwhelmed easily or you just need a safer, quieter space, you can go over there. So we'll have that available as well. And it's for anyone. So
that would be something that would be really great to highlight.
yes, we are actually probably today or tomorrow are going to be announcing kind of a map, and we'll have our map is going to have all the areas that are viewing, parking, where volunteers are, where the bathrooms are, where the speaker will be, and then it will have the sunflower area located on it as well. So that will be out there for the public any day now. So.
And explaining to people what neurodivergent means, because it's certainly something the schools are really well aware of, but I don't think a lot of people on the street are. They're certainly not aware of the language.
It's not average parlance, right? People aren't using that as it doesn't trip off people's tongues.
Unless you hang out on Facebook, and then it's being used much more now.
Right.
But that's really only about the last year that's changed.
Well, and when we talk about Newport being such a welcoming place,
Yeah.
part of it is making sure that we're being intentionally welcoming
Right.
to folks who may not feel intentionally welcome in a lot of other spaces. And this is a great example of that.
Yes, it is.
It wouldn't have occurred to me, honestly, because I've got all those markers of kind of,
Well, this is for everybody.
yeah, right. And so I don't, unless you're trained to see it, you've got some direct
Right.
experience of it. It's amazing how the blinders kind of keep us tracked in one direction.
Right.
We think we're being inclusive, but in fact, there are all kinds of ways in which people feel excluded or not fully welcome. And so when Landmark College reached out to us and said, hey, we want to bring a group of students, we all kind of looked at each other and said, of course, what
Bring them on.
what a great idea.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to go
Right.
the extra mile and make sure that this feels like a really good experience for you?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's all
even
learning.
simple stuff like Main Street. Main Street is not disability easily accessible. It could be, it should be, it's already mandated, but it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, this
Yeah, I
is,
think there are some things they've done that are really helpful, and there's a long way to go.
there's some things that are blatantly obvious, like the handicapped access outside the warehouse, and this is not the warehouse's problem. the post is right in the middle where a side opening ban is. You can't get
Right, you
out.
can't actually use it for a side door.
Right.
I've noticed that, yes.
But that's been information that has been shared for a long time.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be hard to change. And something simple like that says, oh, yeah, you want me here.
Yes, somebody thought about where I had to get out of my
Yeah,
van.
as opposed to go away.
Right, yeah.
We'll
So
also have a
that's
therapy
great.
a therapy dog right now for the neurodivergent area for anyone who needs that. So.
Really? Are you going to collect therapy dogs?
No, my dog is technically a retired therapy dog. So they requested the neurodivergent area have a therapy dog, and I said we could use a retired one. So my dog will be there.
Love it.
For anyone who needs dog pets.
Dog cuddle.
Dog love on when there's thousands of people around. So
That's nice.
yeah. Just thinking, like you said, thinking outside of the box that we don't all really think about, and trying to be accessible in any way we can.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, we're about out of time. So any final words on Totality Rocking?
Here's a little fun fact. Yesterday, we found out that there are 40 private planes scheduled to arrive at our airport on that day. And so now we're in a conversation with RCT about creating a shuttle bus route
Cool.
from the airport downtown to get the folks who are flying in for this thing to be a part of it. And I'm told that number could easily double depending on how the weather is looking, that we could be hosting as many as 70, 80 planes that day
That is really
at our
cool.
airport. Isn't that great?
Where are they going to line the planes up? I mean, I know that airfield is not that gargantuan.
I honestly, no idea.
That's
I have no idea, not my
That's
rodeo.
Dan Govin's
That's
problem.
Dan can take care of that. But, you know,
That's
that
very
airport,
cool.
there's a lot of cool conversation happening about that
Oh,
airport
yeah.
right now. I don't know if you saw the announcement that
Yes.
they're going to go ahead and build a new terminal this
did.
summer, which is really
That's
exciting.
great.
So, and, you know, we've got, I didn't know this until recently, we've got one of the only 3 mile-long runways in the state.
Right.
So, you know, we could be doing so much more with that airport.
Exactly.
So it's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
But honestly, never would have occurred to me, totality, and therefore all of a sudden we've got all these planes flying in for it.
Yeah, that would not have crossed my... I don't know that many people with private planes.
Yeah, me
so-
neither. But, you know, in the long run, trying to figure out how to make that airport really work is another key piece of our economic puzzle, right?
Yes.
If we could get some kind of a 3 times a week service out of here to places like Boston and New York City with
Oh,
a
that would be
small
fabulous.
commuter company, you know, I think we'd pick up huge amounts of traffic from Sherbrooke who don't want to go all the way to Montreal.
Right.
Right. There's all kinds of possibility there. And there's an airport or an aviation committee for the NEK that's really working on those questions now. So it's exciting. There's
That
something happening right now that it's not that it's never happened before,
Right.
but things are converging in
And
a
the
particular
energy's
way,
back up.
and you can feel the energy
energy
coming
is
on right
there.
now in all kinds of ways.
That's great.
So thank you, Pam.
Well, thank
Yes,
you.
thank
Thank you
you.
for bringing your energy here today. I think we should probably go out wearing these weirdo
Don't you
things
think?
again.
Yes.
All right,
I think
I'm just
I
gonna
sort
wave.
of feel I should pick up one of the cans of Eclipse cider as we wave everybody out. Thank you for coming.